My sister uninvited me from the $5,000 engagement party I paid for, so I canceled the venue and left them with a backyard disaster. I'm a 31-year-old guy living in a small city in Nevada, about 4 hours from my hometown in California. I work as a garbage collector for the city. It's a union job with decent benefits and early morning hours, so I'm usually done by 2 in the afternoon most days. Do people swoon when I tell them I pick up trash for a living? Shockingly, they don't. But I get a steady paycheck, free afternoons, and, contrary to what my family seems to think, I'm not sitting around crying about my life choices. Revolutionary concept, I know. Most mornings I'm up at 3:30, at the depot by 4:15, and we're rolling out by 4:30. There's something kind of peaceful about the city when it's still dark and quiet, you know? Just me and my crew, the rumble of the truck, and getting done while everyone else is still drooling on their pillows. My route covers the north side of town, a mix of residential and some commercial areas. The commercial dumpsters are where things get interesting. See, here's what nobody in my family knows. For about 4 years now, I've been running a side hustle that's turned into a serious business. I find rare car parts, restore them, and flip them for some serious cash. Some of this stuff I spot on my routes. You wouldn't believe what people throw out when they clean their garages or when businesses close down. Other pieces I hunt down at auctions, estate sales, or abandoned places on the weekends. Like last month, I found a 1969 Camaro air cleaner assembly sitting on top of a pile of junk outside an auto shop that was closing. It looked like trash, but I knew it was worth something. I took it home, spent a weekend cleaning it up, verified it was authentic, and sold it for $875 to a collector in Texas. The week before that, I pulled a set of vintage Krager SS wheels from behind a storage unit. The owner was like, "Just take them." After some restoration work, I flipped them for $200. Seriously, the stuff people throw away. I've turned it into about $120,000 in extra income last year, 6 figures from garbage. I got a business license, keep the books clean, and pay my taxes, but I keep it quiet. I don't post about it on social media or brag about it to family. I like flying under the radar. My coworkers just think I'm into old car stuff as a hobby. My family still sees me as just Remy the garbage man. My sister Celine especially. She's always been the successful one. She graduated from USC, got her marketing degree, and works for some fancy cosmetics company in LA. She's got the designer wardrobe, the perfect Instagram feed, the whole deal. When we were growing up, she was the homecoming queen, debate team captain, all that. I was the kid who liked taking apart engines in the garage and getting my hands dirty. So anyway, about 2 months ago, my dad called out of the blue on a Tuesday night. I was in the middle of refurbishing a Mustang carburetor, hands covered in grease, when my phone lit up. "Ramy, how you doing, son?" he said, sounding weirdly upbeat, which immediately made me suspicious. My dad's not exactly the cheerful type unless he wants something. "I've got some exciting news. Your sister got engaged," he said, sounding like he just won the lottery. I wasn't surprised. Celine had been dating this guy Evan for about 2 years. He works in finance or banking or whatever comes from money. The whole package that would impress my status-conscious parents. "That's cool. Tell her congrats for me," I said, waiting for whatever came next because my dad never calls just to share news. There's always an angle with him. "Well," he continued, his voice extra casual now, "they're planning this engagement party. Celine really has her heart set on this gorgeous venue in Malibu. Ocean views, string lights on the terrace, the whole Instagram-perfect setup." I frowned slightly. "Wait a minute," I thought. "Evan's family is loaded, right? And they vacation with senators or whatever." He cleared his throat. "Well, yes, they are quite comfortable, but you know how these things work. The bride's family traditionally contributes to wedding events. Celine came to us about it, and well, I thought I would approach you." Something in my gut tightened. Why wouldn't she ask me directly? And if this dude was so rich, why were they scraping for deposits? "The thing is," Dad said, his voice even more casual now, "they're just a bit short on the deposit with everything being so—" He didn't finish, but I knew exactly what he meant. These days, venues demanded hefty upfront commitments, and I was already bracing myself for the worst. "How much?" I asked, even though I had a feeling I knew the answer. "About $5,000, he replied. I understood it was a lot to ask, but my sister really wanted this venue. The date was perfect, and the location was ideal. It would mean a lot to her, and of course, they would handle the rest of the costs. I sat there for a moment, contemplating. $5,000 was indeed a decent chunk of change, but my business had been thriving lately. My side hustle had transformed into something legitimate, and my accounts were looking healthy. Honestly, I was happy to help. Celine had always been into fancy parties. Even as a kid, she organized elaborate tea parties with our stuffed animals and insisted everyone use their formal voices. This was her dream engagement party, and if I could be the one to make it happen, why wouldn't I? That's what family does. She was still my sister, and seeing her happy on her big day was worth far more than $5,000. Yeah, sure, Dad, I can do that, I finally said, pushing away the small voice in my head that was raising red flags. Send me the venue details and I'll wire the deposit. That's great, son. I really appreciate it, he said, sounding genuinely relieved. I'll text you the information tonight. And he did. The next morning, I sent the $5,000 from my business account. I even included a note with the transfer. Congratulations on your engagement. Looking forward to celebrating with you both. But Selene never even texted a thank you. Not a single word of acknowledgement. I thought, whatever. She's probably busy with all the planning. She'd thank me at the party. Weeks went by and things started to feel off. I texted Celine asking about party details, but her responses were consistently vague. So when's this thing happening? I'd ask. Oh, still finalizing details, she'd reply. 3 days later, Dad casually mentioned it was at the cliffside in Malibu. Looks nice from the website, I thought to myself. I texted her at 8:43 in the evening. So, should I book a hotel near the venue or crash at Mom and Dad's? Her reply was to probably wait until we locked down the final date. This back and forth continued for almost a month. I asked about the colors the family was wearing to avoid looking out of place. Radio silence. I even asked if I should bring a date. No response. Even my mom started acting weird whenever I brought it up during our Sunday calls. Oh, your sister's handling all the planning, she'd say, quickly changing the subject like a politician dodging a scandal question. About 3 weeks later, I was scrolling through Instagram when something caught my eye. My cousin Jenna posted a picture of a fancy invitation to Celine's engagement party, complete with gold embossed lettering and a little ribbon. The venue was confirmed. The cliffside in Malibu. The date was set. Everything was finalized. I checked my mail 5 times that week. Nothing. Not even a text asking for my address to send one. By this point, I was starting to feel that sinking feeling in my gut, you know, the one that tells you something isn't right. Still, I wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe the invitation got lost. Maybe she thought she had already sent it. Maybe there was some mix-up. So I texted her directly, "Hey, did invites go out? Haven't received anything yet." Her reply came 3 hours later. "It's probably just better if you sit this one out." That was it. That's all she wrote. I stared at those words on my phone screen for a solid 5 minutes, reading them over and over, wondering if I was missing something. Nope. My sister, whose fancy party I had paid $5,000 for, just uninvited me from that very party. Now, I'm not the type to blow up over text. Some things need to be discussed face to face or at least voice to voice. So I decided to call her, trying to keep my cool. Even though I was starting to feel seriously irritated, I just wanted her to tell me what was going on directly. She didn't answer the first time or the second. On the third try, she finally picked up. "What, Remy?" she said, sounding annoyed, as if I was interrupting something important. I could hear voices and music in the background, probably at some fancy lunch with her bridesmaids. "What do you mean I should sit this one out?" I asked. "Look, Remy," she replied, lowering her voice to almost a whisper. "No offense, but you have to understand the situation here. This isn't just some backyard barbecue. The cliffside is one of the most exclusive venues in Malibu." I pressed her for more information and she sighed. "Evan's parents are important people. His dad sits on some state board and knows the governor personally. His mom runs 3 major charity foundations. People vacation with senators and CEOs. I waited, letting the silence stretch between us as she dug herself deeper. You show up in your work boots, smelling like diesel, talking about garbage routes and dumpster finds, and suddenly I'm the girl with the trash truck brother. Everyone else will be wearing designer labels and discussing their summer homes. I just can't have that energy there. It would make things awkward for everyone, including you." She paused, then added, "It's not personal." Not personal? Was she serious right now? "So, let me get this straight," I said, my voice deadly calm. "You're saying I'm too embarrassing to attend your engagement party because I'm a garbage collector?" "Don't put it like that," she huffed. "It's about fitting in. You wouldn't enjoy yourself anyway. Everyone will be in designer clothes talking about their vacation homes. You'd feel out of place, right? Because trash men can't possibly understand fancy conversations." The sarcasm in my voice was thick enough to cut with a knife. "That's not what I meant," she said, sounding exasperated. "Look, this is a really important night for me and Evan. His family has certain expectations. I can't afford any complications. And I'm a complication? I asked. In this specific context, yes. I'm sorry if that hurts your feelings, but this is my future we're talking about. I took a deep breath, feeling something cold and hard settle in my chest. She had no idea I'd paid for her precious venue, and honestly, I didn't care enough to enlighten her. Cool. Then my money's not personal either. What? What money? What are you talking about? She asked, sounding genuinely confused. I hung up and just sat there staring at the wall like it owed me an explanation. The silence wasn't heavy. It was clarifying. That was the moment I realized exactly where I stood in their eyes. $5,000. No problem. Just wire it over. But a seat at the table? Nah, that's too much. Wouldn't want the trash man showing up and ruining the photo ops. My own father had the nerve to ask me for money like it was his God-given right. Like that was just part of my job description. Not a single, "Hey, you coming?" or "We'd love to have you there." Just radio silence while they cashed the check and kept polishing their image. I was good enough to fund the fantasy, but not good enough to be seen in it. That's who they are. That's who they've always been. But I didn't waste any time after that call. Cold anger fueled me as I pulled up the venue information from my dad's email and called them immediately. I kept it short and professional, explaining who I was, that I'd paid the deposit for my sister's engagement party on June 18th, and that I wanted my money back. The events coordinator initially mentioned their non-refundable deposit policy, but I calmly explained that I was a third party who paid as a gift, and if the gift was being refused, I wanted my refund. She put me on hold, spoke with her manager, and came back with good news. Since the final contract hadn't been signed and the remaining balance was still being processed, they could refund my deposit. She mentioned that canceling the reservation was part of the refund process, and I just said, "That's fine. Send it back to the same card." No hesitation, no second guessing. My hand didn't even shake when I hit end call. 2 days later, bam, $5,000 was sitting right back in my account like it never left. And you know what? I stared at that number for a good minute. Not because of the money itself, I'm doing fine, but because of what it meant. That money was supposed to help my sister have her perfect day, her big moment, and she looked at me like I was trash on the curb. Not even worth a seat at the party I literally paid for. I thought about texting her or my dad something short and petty like, "Hope that Malibu sunset looks good from your backyard tent," or maybe just a screenshot of the refund. But I didn't. They could find out the hard way, just like I found out I was never really invited. And honestly, I didn't want to sit around in my apartment stewing over it. The anger was sharp, but underneath it, I felt gut-punched, betrayed in a way that hits different when it's your own blood making you feel like the family embarrassment. Like somehow your paycheck determines your worth at the table. So I said, screw it. I threw some clothes in a duffel, grabbed my gear and pointed my truck northwest. I didn't have a plan. I just needed air that didn't smell like diesel or fake apologies. I ended up finding this little town online called Manzanita up on the Oregon coast. Not touristy, just a quiet stretch of beach with rental cabins nearby. I found a cabin rental. Nothing fancy, just clean and quiet with a decent view of the ocean. The best part was that it was at off-season rates, so the whole week cost me less than a single night would have at some hotel in Malibu near Celine's party. As I sat on the deck that first night, watching the sun set over the Pacific with a can of root beer in hand, I turned my phone on airplane mode. No calls, no texts, no social media, just the sound of waves crashing on the shore. For 5 days, I hiked the coastal trails, collected interesting pieces of driftwood, and started a project with one big piece that looked like it could make a cool lamp base. I ate at local dive spots and slept better than I had in months. The anger that had been building up began to fade, replaced by a strange sense of peace. 2 days before the party was supposed to happen, I gave in and turned my phone back on. It immediately started blowing up. Text notifications, missed calls, voicemails, dad calling, mom calling, Celine calling, over and over. I let them all go to voicemail, sat on that deck looking out at the ocean, and listened to them one by one. First Celine. "Remy, the venue called us. They said the deposit was refunded. What did you do? The party is in 4 days. Call me back right now." Then another from her an hour later. "Remy, the venue canceled on us. What the hell happened? We need that space. Everything else is booked up. Can you just call me back? We'll figure it out. Please don't be petty." Then my dad. "Son, call us back right now. Your sister is crying. This is unacceptable behavior. Where are you even?" My mom. "Remy, please. Everyone's asking where you are. The hall canceled, and we don't know what to do." 6 more from Celine. each more desperate than the last. 3 more from Dad, getting progressively angrier. 2 from Mom, guilt-tripping me about family sticking together. Not a single one apologizing for excluding me from the party. I turned my phone back to airplane mode and went for another walk on the beach. I stayed in Oregon until the day after the engagement party was supposed to happen. When I finally turned my phone back on for good, I had 43 missed calls and too many texts to count. I ignored most of them but did text my cousin Jenna. "Hey, how'd the big party go?" Her response came fast. "Oh my God, where have you been? It was a disaster calling you now." When I picked up, she was practically cackling. "Dude, it was the biggest show I've ever seen," she said without even saying hello. So, the fancy engagement party ended up being a last-minute tent setup in my parents' backyard. "No way," I said, trying not to sound too pleased. "Oh yeah, but wait, it gets better," Jenna continued. According to her, it rained. Not just a sprinkle. We're talking a total downpour. Mother Nature must have really wanted in on the drama. The tent they managed to rent last minute leaked in 3 places. The rental company brought the wrong size, so it was cramped with 50 people jammed in there like sardines. The catering company got confused about the address change and showed up 2 hours late. Half the guests left early. Jenna continued. Celine spent most of the party crying in the bathroom while her future mother-in-law kept asking loudly, couldn't they afford a proper venue? It was brutal. Apparently, Evan's dad kept making comments like, when we hosted our engagement party, we had it at the country club. Real subtle digs that everyone could hear. So, how'd they explain what happened with the venue? I asked. That's the best part, Jenna said, lowering her voice, even though she was alone in her apartment. Celine tried to blame the venue cancellation on administrative errors, but then your Aunt Carol blurted out, isn't it because Remy pulled his money? Where is he anyway? I almost dropped my phone. She didn't. Oh, she did. In front of everyone, including Evan's entire family. That's when the whole truth came out in front of everyone, including Evan's entire snooty family. You should have seen Evan's face, Jenna said. He had no idea you were the one who paid for the venue. Your dad never mentioned it to him. Celine never thanked you because she apparently didn't even know. Your dad had just told her he took care of it. I sat down on my couch, taking this all in. So Evan knows everything now. Oh yeah, and get this. He did not look happy with Celine. They had this intense whisper argument in the corner, and then he just left. Didn't say goodbye to anyone, just got in his car and drove off, leaving Celine standing there in her fancy dress with mascara running down her face. After I hung up with Jenna, I checked my social media. I got a notification for a message request on my business page, the one for my car parts restoration business. It was from Evan. Hey, I didn't realize you were the one who paid for the venue. I just found out what happened at the party. I heard what Celine said to you about your job. I want you to know that my dad was actually a garbage collector too. He did it for 11 years before going to law school. I respect what you do. Honestly, if I were in your shoes, I'd have done the same thing. This doesn't excuse anything, but I think you should know that Celine's been under a lot of pressure from her friends to have this perfect engagement. Still, it's not right how she treated you. I'm really sorry, man. I didn't reply to Evan. I just screenshotted the message and saved it. Not for revenge or anything, but as proof that I wasn't crazy. I wasn't lesser. I was just inconvenient to their fake perfect image. After the trip, I got right back into my rhythm in Nevada. I'd haul trash, clock out, hit the shop, restore parts, and then repeat. Same grind, same piece. I didn't tell anyone where I went. I didn't owe them that. About a week after I got back, my dad showed up at my apartment unannounced. He had driven 4 hours from California to Nevada just to confront me in person. That's how angry he was. It was around 6 in the evening. I had just finished dinner and was sketching out some designs for a custom restoration job when there was this angry pounding on my door. When I opened it, I found my dad standing there face red, looking like he was about to blow a gasket. You embarrassed this entire family, he yelled the second I opened the door, actually yelling in the hallway of my apartment building where all my neighbors could hear. Your sister's future in-laws think we're some kind of dysfunctional mess now. I crossed my arms and leaned against the door frame, not inviting him in. Maybe you should have told me I wasn't good enough to attend before asking me for $5,000, I said. That's not how it was, he sputtered, pushing past me into my apartment. Really? Because Celine literally told me I smelled like garbage and would embarrass her in front of Evan's important family. He paced around my living room, looking at my place like he was seeing it for the first time. And maybe he was. He hadn't visited in over 2 years. You don't understand the pressure she's under, he said, lowering his voice slightly but still clearly pissed. Evan's family has connections. This marriage could mean a lot for her future. for all our futures. So I'm what? Just supposed to bankroll her fancy life while staying hidden in the background? That's some family, Dad. He actually tried to defend it. She's marrying into an important family. You could have just understood and helped out anyway. That's what family does. I laughed. Nah, that's what doormats do. I'm nobody's ATM. 5,000? He scoffed. It's not like that's a life-changing amount. Something about the way he said it made me pause, like he thought I'd emptied my savings account for this. Like he thought it was a huge sacrifice for me, but one I should have made anyway because family. You're right, I said calmly. It's not life-changing, which is why it was extra shitty to take it and then exclude me. Your sister made a mistake, he admitted, though it clearly pained him to do so. But you've made it 100 times worse. Do you know what this looks like to Evan's family? Don't really care, to be honest. Well, he should, because now they're questioning whether Evan should even marry into our family at all. I shrugged. Sounds like a Celine problem. My dad stared at me like I'd grown a second head. What happened to you? When did you get so self-respecting? I offered. You left fuming, saying I'd ruined everything and better apologize. I closed the door behind him and went back to my sketches. The next day, my phone lit up with a call from Celine. No warning, no text, just her name flashing across the screen like a headache waiting to happen. I debated letting it ring out, but part of me wanted to hear what excuse she'd cook up this time. I picked up. The second I said hello, she exploded. You humiliated me, she snapped. I had to explain to Evan's entire family why we were in some leaky backyard tent. His mother asked if we were having financial problems. Do you know how that made me look? I didn't even flinch. Probably not as bad as telling your brother he's too trashy to attend the party he paid for. She went quiet for half a second, then launched into another tirade. You should have told me you paid for it. I snorted. You should have invited me. I was going to, she lied, her voice rising. I was going to explain everything, but then you pulled that childish stunt. Right, I said dryly. That's why you texted me. It's probably just better if you sit this one out. And then she ghosted me. Sounds inviting, right? She started spiraling into full meltdown mode. She claimed I ruined her special day, saying Evan was now questioning everything, as if that was supposed to make me feel bad. Then she said something that actually made me pause. It sounded so pathetic. Even my bridesmaids think I'm the villain now. I kept my tone calm. Even you didn't want me there because I didn't fit your perfect little social climbing fantasy. The thing is, the guy you're marrying actually respects what I do more than you ever did. And now everyone sees exactly who you are. Her tone shifted, sharp and bitter. So what? You think you're better than me now? I leaned back in my chair, calm as ever. No, I just finally figured out I'm not less. And I hung up. The next few weeks were filled with radio silence from my family. No calls from Mom. No texts from Dad. Definitely nothing from Celine. I just kept doing my thing. Work, my side business, and weekend hikes when the weather was nice. I used some of that refunded $5,000 to buy a specialized tool I'd been eyeing for restoration work. Then my cousin Jenna called again. She had become my main source of family intel at this point. She started bursting with news. The fallout from your sister's party disaster is still going strong. What happened now? I asked, genuinely curious. 3 of her bridesmaids quit, Jenna said gleefully, including the 2 who came to your place. Apparently they were pretty disgusted by the whole thing. One of them, Madison, told everyone that Celine was classist and toxic. I couldn't help but laugh. No way. Oh, it gets better. Evan's mother is now insisting on getting to know both families better, which means weekly dinners where Celine has to pretend to be nice to you, even though you're not there. So it makes for really awkward conversations where they all dance around the giant elephant in the room. And how's my dad handling all this? I asked. Uncle Phil is in full damage control mode. He's been telling everyone that you're going through something and that you're jealous of Celine's relationship. But nobody's buying it, especially since the truth about the venue money came out. And my mom. Jenna's voice softened a bit. Aunt Sarah seems pretty torn up about the whole thing. She's not taking sides publicly, but I overheard her telling my mom that they need to fix Remy before he ruins Celine's chances with Evan's family for good. About a week after my dad's dramatic visit, there was another knock at my door. This one was softer, more hesitant. When I opened it, my mom was standing there with a strange smile. "Can I come in?" she asked, already stepping forward without waiting for an answer. I moved aside, watching as she surveyed my apartment with barely concealed disapproval. Her eyes lingered on the grease-stained work clothes draped over a chair and the car parts catalog on my coffee table. "Remy," she started, settling herself on my couch like she was afraid it might be dirty. We need to talk about your future. Here we go. What about it? I kept my voice neutral, already knowing where this was headed. Don't you think it's time you found a different career path? Something more respectable? She said it gently as if suggesting I change my shirt, not my entire livelihood. This garbage collecting job is fine as a temporary thing, but you're 31 now. I like my job, I said simply. She sighed dramatically. But look at what just happened with Celine's party. That kind of humiliation is going to follow you forever if you keep doing this work. People judge, Remy. That's just how the world works. I stared at her in disbelief. Are you seriously saying that me being excluded from Celine's party was somehow my fault because of my job? I'm saying that actions have consequences, she replied. If you had pursued a more appropriate career like we always encouraged, none of this would have happened. Appropriate? I could feel my blood pressure rising. You mean like Celine following the path you and Dad laid out? Your sister has made something of herself, Mom said defensively. She has connections, a future, and now she's found a wonderful man from a good family. A family whose patriarch was once a garbage man, I cut in. Did you know that Evan's dad collected trash for years? She waved her hand dismissively, but he moved on to better things. He improved himself. And I'm what, just permanently garbage because of my job? Don't be dramatic, she huffed. I'm just saying that it's time to grow up. Find something that doesn't embarrass the family every time someone asks what you do. I felt rage building in my chest, years of pent-up frustration bubbling to the surface. That's rich coming from you, Mom? Real rich. What's that supposed to mean? You want to talk about growing up and making something of myself? Where was this concern when I needed help with college tuition? When I got accepted to that automotive engineering program and you all said it was too expensive, I knew I'd have to figure it out on my own. Her face flushed. This felt different. Different how? Because it wasn't Celine asking this time. You've never had a problem pouring money into her education, her apartment, her wardrobe, her life. My voice was rising now, but I couldn't stop. You paid for her entire USC degree without blinking. But when it came to my community college classes, suddenly money was tight. We gave you both what you needed, she said defensively. You gave Celine what she wanted and me what you could spare. You never once asked what my plans were, or what I wanted to do with my life. You just assumed I'd failed because I didn't follow your blueprint. She looked away, unable to meet my eyes. We just wanted what was best for Celine. Not for me. Never for me, I finished. And now you have the nerve to show up here and tell me my job is embarrassing you after you set me up to fail from day one. That's not fair. Remy, she said, but her voice lacked conviction. That was it, the last straw. You want to know what I do, Mom? Besides hauling trash, I walked over to my desk and pulled out a folder, slapping it down on the coffee table in front of her. Take a look. Hesitantly, she opened it. Inside were my business tax returns, bank statements, and some photos of my restored parts with their selling prices. Her eyes widened as she flipped through the pages. You made this much from car parts? Yeah, from garbage. The stuff people throw away that I find value in, I said, unable to keep the bitterness from my voice. I've been running this business for 4 years. Not once did you or Dad ever ask enough about my life to find out. Her demeanor shifted instantly, the disapproval in her eyes transforming into something I recognized all too well. Opportunistic calculation. Remy, this is wonderful. Why didn't you tell us? She said, practically beaming now. You know, with this kind of income, you could really help your sister out. She and Evan are looking at apartments in Brentwood. Such a nice area, but the rent is astronomical. I stared at her dumbfounded. Are you seriously asking me to pay for Celine's rent after everything that just happened? Well, it would be a lovely gesture. Show everyone you're sorry about the party fiasco and that you want to make amends. Her smile was honeyed poison. It would mean so much to her and to the whole family. I laughed, a hollow, disbelieving laugh that made her smile falter. Get out. Her eyes widened. Excuse me? Get out. I walked to the door and held it open. You didn't come here to apologize. You came to shame me into falling in line. And when that didn't work, you thought you'd cash in on my success instead. A success, by the way, that came from the very job you just spent 10 minutes telling me was humiliating. Remy, you're being unreasonable. No. What's unreasonable is driving 4 hours to tell your son he's an embarrassment, then asking him for money. My voice was dead calm now. I'm done being the family ATM that you're ashamed to acknowledge in public. I'm done with all of it. She stood up, clutching her purse to her chest like a shield. You've changed, she said accusingly. You've become bitter. No, I've just stopped accepting scraps from people who think I belong in the trash. I gestured to the open door. Don't come back. Not until you're ready to see me for who I actually am. She left without another word, her back rigid with indignation. As her car pulled away, I felt lighter somehow, like I'd finally taken out the garbage that had been stinking up my life for years. Life went on. I kept working my routes, flipping parts, and actually expanded. I got a second storage unit for my business and started thinking about maybe renting a proper workshop space instead of just using my apartment. Jenna kept me updated on the family drama. The engagement was hanging by a thread, she told me during one of our calls. I didn't really care at that point. I even thought about blocking Jenna, too. That girl thrives on drama and would never stop. My dad kept trying to make me the bad guy, telling relatives I was jealous of Celine's relationship and sabotaged her party. Nobody bought it. The truth had a way of spreading, and in this case, the truth made Celine and my parents look pretty bad. I never posted anything about the whole situation except for one thing. Just a picture of a 1964 Mustang intake manifold I'd restored and sold for $3,600. The caption just said, "Trash is just treasure that landed in the wrong hands. Let them figure that one out." Meanwhile, I was thriving. My business expanded enough that I finally leased that workshop space I'd been eyeing. I even hired an assistant to help with the workload. I started getting orders for cleaning and basic restoration work from collectors as far away as Europe and Japan. It turns out that being the garbage man nobody wanted at the party was working out pretty well for me. Celine's life, on the other hand, took a nosedive. According to Jenna, she was put on probation at work after having a meltdown during a client presentation. Evan's family was polite but distant. 3 months after the party disaster, she showed up at my new workshop unannounced. "Nice place," she said, looking around awkwardly. She seemed smaller somehow, less shiny and perfect than I remembered. "Thanks. What do you want?" I asked. She flinched at my directness. "I just wanted to see how you were doing." "I'm doing great." I gestured around at the workshop. "Business is booming." "So I heard," she said, fidgeting with her purse strap. "Mom told me about your side business. Said you're doing really well." "It's not a side business anymore. It's my main focus now. I just do the garbage routes 3 days a week." She nodded, clearly uncomfortable. "Remy, I'm sorry about what I said at the party. Are you sorry because you meant it, or sorry because it blew up in your face?" She didn't have an answer for that. That's what I thought. I turned back to the carburetor I'd been working on. "Anything else?" "Evan and I broke up," she blurted out. "He said he couldn't marry someone who would treat her own brother that way. Said it showed a character defect." Her voice cracked on the last words. I didn't feel the satisfaction I thought I would. Just a hollow sadness for her. "That sucks," I said. "Honestly, I'm sorry it didn't work out. Are you?" She looked surprised. "Yeah, despite everything, you're still my sister. I don't want you to be unhappy." I set down my tools, "But I'm not going to pretend what you did was okay either." She nodded slowly. "I've been seeing a therapist, trying to figure out why I care so much about what other people think. Why I was so willing to hurt you to impress people I barely knew." "That's good," I said. "That's a start." We didn't hug when she left. We weren't there yet, but we did agree to meet for coffee sometime. Baby steps. The truth is, if Celine had just invited me to that party, none of this would have happened. I'd have shown up, kept to myself, and gone home. No drama, no revelations, no change. Sometimes it takes getting thrown out with the trash to realize what's really valuable. And sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's just standing your ground and watching people realize exactly who belongs in the trash. And it ain't the garbage man,